Hello, my name is Michael Pritchard. I'm the Director of Education and Public Affairs at the Royal Photographic Society. And what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about the Royal Photographic Society, what we do, the history of the RPS, and about the RPS distinctions, which is one of those things that's of particular interest to our members and to photographers wanting to get recognition for their skills. So that's the plan. I'm going to talk for about 15 or 20 minutes. So firstly, what is the RPS? So we're the world's oldest photography organisation. We were founded in 1853 and we brought together amateurs and professionals interested in photography when photography was still a very new art and very new process of recording and documenting the world. And this photograph here shows the members' summer outing to Hampton Court in July 1856. It's by Roger Fenton, who was the first secretary of the society, and Fenton's on the left-hand side. You can see his photographic van in the background, which is where he did his processing. But what's interesting about this picture is it includes artists, it includes chemists, it includes Dr. Diamond, who used photography to document medical patients, and importantly, it shows women who were invited in as members of the society from its earliest days, right from its origins in January 1853. And just in the background there, you can see a nice early camera. And this again is some of our early members. They're actually doing their printing. So those are printing frames. And again, there's a lady who's the wife of one of the members there, but she was also a member of the RPS in her own right. So very soon after the society was formed, it began publishing from March 1853 its own journal. It's the photographic journal, now called the RPS Journal, and it's appeared ever since. So that's the world's oldest photography publication. So back in the 19th century, it spoke about and recorded the technical developments, the artistic developments, the optical chemistry developments within photography, and this is a thread from one of the first issues of the journal, and we'll look at today's journal a bit later on. But it's an important document now, and we have a complete run on the shelves behind me from 1853. Society from 1854 began holding an annual regular exhibition, and this is a picture of one of those early exhibitions from 1858. Obviously the hanging style is very different to how we would hang an exhibition today. But it's interesting that you can see stereoscopes on the table, and this was held in London. Today we're up to the 163rd edition of the exhibition, and we'll see some pictures of how we do that today. It's a good historic picture of the exhibition. And this is how the photographs were selected in 1902. Today it's very different, and again we'll look at some selectors from more recent times, and of course we always have women on our selection panels. So I want to talk about some of the members of the RPS now, and we're going to do that through some of the equipment and some of their images. Julia Margaret Cameron was one of our early female members of the RPS. She's a very important photographer within the history of photographer. And what you can see there is one of her lenses, and this is how she achieved those very dramatic portraits of the people that she photographed, because it had soft, very tightly focused lens and allowed her to really focus on her subject in a way that she was using to show their character. And on the right hand side is a lens from David Octavius Hill. He was part of the partnership of Hill and Adamson, and this is the lens that he used, and these are again all from the RPS collection. Frederick Scott Archer invented the collodion process in 1851, and this is the camera that he designed to help support the process. The bag at the back of the camera allows the photographer to put his or her arms into it and do the processing of the plate inside the body of the camera. And this camera almost needs no introduction. It's one of the very first Kodak cameras from 1889, 1888. And it really revolutionized photography in the sense that it allowed amateurs, people without any knowledge or interest in photography who just wanted to photograph people, places that they went to do so. And the Kodak allowed people to do that. So it's an incredibly important camera in the sense that it democratized photography and started that journey. And this is where the RPS collection is stored today. It's at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. These are some of the photographs from the collection, some of the boxes of slides and plates you can see on the shelves there. And we're going to look now at some of the photographs within it. This is by Nicholas Henneman. It shows Fox Talbot's printing establishment in Reading near his home at Laycock. The actual print is a calotype from the 1840s. Roger Fenton, I mentioned earlier, was the first secretary of the society, but he was a very accomplished photographer. These are the portraits of Princess Helena and Louise. He also was a fantastic, rather wonderful still life photographer using the collodion process. This is from 1860. You might know him best as being one of the first war photographers. He went to the Crimea in 1855-56 and brought back the first photographs of war. Frederick Hollanday is one of the American photographers that's represented in the RPS collection. This is Liang Fu, his portrait. And we have a lot of travel photography within the RPS collection. It's Chinese flower girl, Chinese merchant. And of course, this will be instantly recognizable. It's Tower Bridge in London on the Thames. It's by Alvin Langdon Coburn, and the collection is very strong with photography from the 1890s, 1900 periods. The pictorialists, the American secessionists, and the linked ring members, most of whom were members of the RPS. And the work of P.H. Emerson, he was documenting a lot of rural landscapes at a time when agriculture was changing dramatically. And he produced a series of photographs, many of which ended up in some of the books that he produced. And there's a lot of natural history, nature photography. The Kearton brothers were some of the earliest nature photographers who were working in a very thoughtful, scientific way. And they were photographing a bird's nest here, and obviously their tripod stand wasn't big enough, so one of the brothers is standing on the shoulders of his brother to photograph a bird's nest. And the society has always been very interested in both the art and the science of photography. Edward Muybridge did a lot of work in chronophotography, showing how animals and people moved. So these individual images can be combined to give a moving image. And Muybridge was really the first person to document some of this work. And also using, away from visible light, but using X-rays to document and show what was happening inside the body. Those were announced in 1895, and by 1896 there was a demonstration at one of the society's early meetings. Colour photography is well represented in the RPS collection, everything from the autochrome from 1907. This work's by Madame Yvonne. She was an accomplished master of a particular process of colour. This is one of her advertising photographs. And this is a picture of hers called Crisis, just before the Second World War started in 1939. And this picture almost needs no introduction. It's by Steve McCurry, of course, who's one of the Society's honorary fellows. And it's Afghan Girl. And this again is in the RPS collection. So I want to come on now to talk a little bit about what the Society does today. Clearly, I can only touch on our activities. We do a vast range of activities across the world, including Asia. Our special interest groups cover everything from AV through to contemporary and historical photography. And our UK regions hold meetings and activities. And of course, our international chapters hold meetings and activities to engage with RPS members away from the UK. And the Society is very strong within Asia. China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, and India are all very strong centres with lots of RPS members, and Japan, of course, many of whom gather together to meet regularly and do activities around photography. So the objects of the Society are to educate members of the public and to promote the public appreciation of photography. So that drives everything that we do. We're now in this rather wonderful new building in Bristol. We moved here in 2019, And this is the centre of what we do, although, as I say, a lot of what we do is in the UK, Europe and Asia, so beyond our headquarters building. But if you come into the building, this is the foyer entrance, and there's a big screen there where we showcase artwork as well. And as you move through the building, we have this 100-seater auditorium where we do a lot of our public events, and they range from photographers' talks. Our distinctions assessments are done in this room as well. We also do film screenings also. So it's a really versatile room. It gets well used. And here are the selectors from one of the international photography exhibitions from a few years ago. The initial entry is done digitally, but the final selection is made from the photographer's own prints. And that becomes an exhibition of 100 photographs that are shown in the RPS gallery in Bristol, and it then tours around the UK and potentially internationally. So this is the RPS gallery, which occupies the whole of the first floor of our building. This is the International Photography Exhibition. This was an exhibition looking at plastics in the world's oceans. And then we looked at last year in 2019, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the moon landings with a historical component, but also this contemporary series of installations which brought augmented reality to photography as well. So using your smartphone, you could get a different perspective on the images in that space. And then we had a single photographer exhibition in 2019. So we do a regular changing programs of exhibitions, and we also try and record them through 360-degree technology, so you can get a virtual experience if you aren't able to get to Bristol. So again, check the website. Our education room is used for training and workshops, everything from Lightroom and Photoshop through to learning about things like copyright, for example. And we also do practical workshops away from the building in studios and at locations around the UK. This is the resource room where I'm talking to you from today. So our library is here, and those bookshelves are now full. We've got planchettes with historic photographs in them. We also have some of the Society's early membership records. And of course, we have a run of the journal from 1853 right the way up to the present day. And the terrace here is great in the summer. If you've been doing a workshop and you want to get away from the screen or have lunch, then it's a great place to sit outside in the sunshine and just rest your eyes. But we also use it for meetings as well and other activities. So here are just some pictures of some of the different things that we do, the exhibitions. This is a school group on the left-hand side looking at the IPE exhibition. There's a studio workshop taking place in a studio at Laycock, and then a public event in the auditorium. And we also publish a whole series of resources on the website on matters relevant to photography and to photographers. And again, there's a picture here. So we also go outside of the building. This is an activity we did with young people, showing them how to use photography on compact cameras in their smartphones around portraiture. The journal continues to be published, of course. These are the three most recent covers. So the picture on the left is from David Bailey, who's one of our honorary fellows. In the center is from Nick Knight, the fashion photographer. And on the right-hand side, from Edward Batinsky, who's documenting the world and the changes that man is doing to the world. And again, Edward is one of our honorary fellows. And of course, like the 19th century, when Queen Victoria was our patron, our new patron from last year is the Duchess of Cambridge, who took over from Her Majesty the Queen. And the Duchess, of course, has her own personal interest in photography and takes a very active interest in what we're doing. So moving on to the distinctions, we have three levels of distinctions, and clearly there's not time to go through all of the requirements here. You can find all of that on the website, and I'll show you a link in a moment. So the licentiate, which we're going to look at now, is really about showing competency from a technical perspective across a range of genres and styles of photography. The hanging plan here from Jane Langston shows her images, so it's a series of 10 images, and as we look at her images, Jane's clearly competent across a range of subjects, from macro to sports photography to sort of more documentary to more sort of perhaps still life type photography, street photography. She's clearly able to handle her camera properly and to get the best and to achieve the types of photographs that she's looking for. And she's also here, particularly in this picture, she's capturing a very specific moment. So it is a high standard at licentiate, but I'm sure a lot of you viewing this will be able to prepare work that would meet the standard, or can go out and produce the work that would get you the licentiate of the RPS. We're moving on to the associate now, and at associate level, we're looking for a bit more than just technical competency. We want to see a personal style coming through. Of course, technically it needs to be up to standard. And we also have different categories of associate and fellowship also. And this is a category from our landscape section. It's from Sylvester Wong, who's using a drone to capture landscape photography. And we also ask for a printed statement that accompanies the picture, so the words and the pictures need to work together. And we look at Sylvester's pictures now. Again, he's got a very good technical expertise with his approach to his photography, but also he can clearly recognize and get the pictures that he wants to support his statement of intent. The pictures, of course, speak for themselves, really. Society has always been very open to new technology right from its origins. So we do get submissions using drones now, and of course from smartphones. So if the standard, the quality is there, then we're more than happy to accept work that has been produced on a smartphone. But of course, the smartphone won't allow you to deliver the quality for certain types of photography, particularly something, for example, like wildlife. So moving on to the fellowship. This is a documentary panel from Mark Phillips, and Mark was documenting New York and Cuba and trying to show a sense of place through his documentary photography, but also focusing on the people within those places. So again, we'll look at Mark's photographs. Again, there's a statement that accompanies this panel. At fellowship, you're able to show up to 21 images. But again, the statement and the images need to work together. They need to support each other. But Mark's got a very clear eye, very good eye. He's able to know what he's looking for and capture it to support his statement and give that sense, document the places that he's visiting. So if you want to know more, if you want to know the detailed requirements or to see a lot more example panels of work that have gone through, do go to the website. The link is there, and you can look at the licentiate, associate and fellowship and see examples of portfolios that have been accepted and passed, along with recordings and interviews with some of the photographers. And there's also the Distinctions Roadshow, which is worth watching, because again, that will show you more panels, but also you'll hear from some of the panel members that assess the work, as well as the photographers that submitted, to who are talking about their own work. So there's lots more information to see on the website. If you have any immediate questions, by all means, email me. My email is there. It's michael@rps.org, and I will do my best to answer and find a colleague that can help you. And of course, we'd love to welcome you to membership of the RPS. So either email me or find the link on the website at rps.org. So I hope that's given you an overview. Of course, there's plenty more that could be said about the RPS. We've got 170, 180 years of history behind us. So this has only touched on it, but it should give you an overview, and you've seen some great photography as well, which is what we're all interested in. So thank you for your attention, and I hope I hear from some of you at some point.